Hi everyone, it's Brian. I decided that I'm going to kind of stop posting more videos on Facebook and YouTube and all that kind of stuff for my team and for my hosts, my customers. I just wanted to take the next couple of days and basically make soups. This is the perfect time of the year. Soups stretch your food budget. They're also very easy to make, so whether you're a cook, a non-cook, a gourmet cook, someone who just likes to play in the kitchen, the bottom line is soup is really easy to make. Today I'm going to make one of my versions of wonton soup. It's my favorite when I go to a Chinese restaurant, but it's so simple to make, and it actually starts with some real simple ingredients. I'm going to kind of fast forward a little bit, tell you what I have in the pot, and then when I kind of put the pot back on the stove, we're going to walk through what we did. Ultimately, I have here the all-purpose pot from Pampered Chef. I love it. It's 8 quarts. It has a steamer on the top that you can get. There goes my glasses. But basically, it's great for doing soups like this, because what I wanted to do is I wanted to kind of steam the veggies that are going in there a little bit, plus use the veggie bottoms at the bottom of the steamer for steaming the wontons, okay? So basically what I have here is I have about 14, there goes the steam again with my glasses. I should do these videos without my glasses. Then you'd all be in trouble. But basically I have about 2 cups of spinach at the bottom. On top of that I have some snap peas, and then basically what I did was I just kind of made the wontons, put them on top of the veggies, and then I kind of put them on the stove to steam. But what I steamed them in, basically what I have here is I have about 8 cups of chicken stock. Now you're going to notice that this is not quite as yellow as, let's say, the color would be when you get it in a Chinese restaurant. And that's because they use a condensed version. They use, it's actually a paste versus a liquid. And then they turn that paste into a liquid. So that's why it's a lot more yellow in color. This is just chicken broth, water, and a little bit of salt. Just a little. And I kind of put that on the stove, bring it up to a boil. Once it started to boil, I put the steamer on top with the veggies and the wontons. And then basically at this point, what we're going to do now is just take this and we're going to kind of just dump this into the chicken broth. The wontons are cooked enough where they won't basically, leak any starch from it at this point or anything like that. When you are steaming in the steamer with the wontons, you need to put something on the bottom so that the veggies don't stick, the wontons don't stick. But you also want to be able to, when you put the wontons in there, you want to not treat them like raviolis. You don't want to kind of put them too close or they'll stick, and as they stick, as they cook, they're going to stick. And then basically now you have to kind of pull them apart, and then you run the risk of kind of ripping the wonton. So I have those in there with the pea pods and the wontons, and I put some spinach in there as well, okay? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually just put this back on the stove. I'm going to take the steamer off, and I'm going to add the cover to the all-purpose pot, and I'm going to put it back on a low heat. Now I'm going to kind of fast forward a little bit and tell you how I made the dumplings, or the wontons. Basically, I took about about 1.5 to 2 pounds of ground pork. You can use anything you want, but pork is pretty traditional here. Then what I used is about, let me see, I got the recipe here. I used about a tablespoon of fresh ginger. And what I did with the ginger was I just peeled it using our julienne peeler. And then basically, I took the garlic, ginger, put it in here, pressed it right into the ground pork. This is great for kind of doing things like that. To that, what I did was I added about a quarter of a cup of soy sauce and about 1/8 to 1/4 of a cup of sesame seed oil. I use the roasted sesame seed oil, but you can use any oil you want. It's in terms of sesame seed oil. And then you just kind of mix that all together. Then what I did was I actually took, after it's mixed well together, I bought egg roll wrappers. Now, you can buy wonton wrappers. They're actually smaller. You don't have to cut them. I had these, so I'm all for just kind of using what I have, okay? But the bottom line is they come in a square like this, okay? And all I did was cut them into 2 triangles, okay? So starting with one triangle, what you want to do, and I used our small scoop. I love this scoop for exactly this kind of stuff, making cookies, meatballs, things of that nature. So I kind of filled it with the sausage meat. You're going to put it in the middle. Let me move this bowl so you guys can see what I'm doing over here. Put it in the middle. Take your fingers. You want to have some warm water in a dish. Take your fingers, just kind of stick them in the water, and rub around the edges, okay? Just like that. You want to get it good and moist so that it becomes a little tacky. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take corner to corner, fold it over like that. So you actually start off with something like that. From there, you're going to run your finger around the edge and pinch it so that it becomes like a little pocket. Real simple, okay? If your hands start to dry out, just dip them in the water again. Now what you got is this. Now, in some cases, some Chinese restaurants will actually just throw them right into the soup, just like this. I don't like to do that. So now what you're going to do is you're going to take the 2 corners, you're going to fold them up just like that, and when you get to that point, you pinch it, okay? And it actually looks like a little crown. Sometimes they'll stand, sometimes they won't, depends on how much you filled. But basically that's what they look like. Now, there's a couple of takes on this. You can keep adding them to the soup. You can steam them, add the, put them aside in the refrigerator once they're steamed, because the pork will be fully cooked when it's steamed. What I tend to do is, I tend to get the kids involved. Bring them over. This is things that they can kind of help you with, but the bottom line is these are perfectly fine if you freeze them. So ultimately what you want to do is you want to kind of lay them on a sheet of wax paper, parchment paper, some form of freezable dish or container, but you want to make sure single layer, another layer of parchment paper, and then basically you can just freeze them. They'll last about 3 to 4 months if properly stored and layered right. Some people will tell you that you want to dust them a little bit with flour so they don't stick together. But if you wrap them correctly, you don't have to do that as well. All right, I'm going to kind of take you through that one more step. Again, I got the sausage. The key here is don't overfill. We always want to think, we look at them and thinking, wow, that's really not enough. The bottom line is don't overfill them, because if you overfill them, then you're not going to be able to seal them correctly. Then they're going to open up when they're in the soup, okay? So you really don't want to do that. Try to refrain yourself from overstuffing them. So again, we got them in the middle of the piece of the dough, the wrapper. Kind of love this kind of recipe because I get to play in the water. But basically, again, in the wrapper, you're going to flip this over like so that you end up with a triangle. Go around it, pinch it, okay? That's what you end up with. Same thing, wet your fingers. Pinch it, and there we go. I have one more to do, because I made most of them already. But now, here's what I usually tell people in terms of this kind of recipe. It doesn't take a lot of time. You're just emptying the stuff in the pan. But what you want to do is you want to kind of think about doubling the recipe. Okay? Here's why you want to double the recipe. So you can actually freeze the wontons, or you can actually, when doubling the recipe, you can actually take the rest of the leftover meat or the ground pork, and you can actually make Chinese meatballs. I'm all about kind of doubling up what you do. So these here, I'm just going to kind of take these over to the pan. I'm going to drop these right in. Now these are okay that they're not steamed, and here's why. Basically, this soup's going to sit for probably about another hour or so until it's dinner time here. But basically, it'll be fine. They'll be cooked. There's no issues there. But now here's what I'm also going to do now. I'm going to kind of show you, I do have, I'm going to clean up this little mess here. I do have some leftover meat. Not a lot, because I didn't really double the recipe, okay? But basically, I'm going to take this, and I'm going to make meatballs, just like I said that you could do. You're just going to kind of take these, roll them into a meatball style, and I'm putting them on the steamer, okay? This here you don't have to worry about there being anything in the bottom. There's enough fat in the meatballs, the meat, that they're not going to stick, okay? So you just kind of keep rolling. Again, another great job for the kids. Get them involved. You know, we often talk about with parents. I don't have any biological children. I have a stepson who's long since grown. But the bottom line is that I talk to a lot of customers, a lot of hosts, a lot of people who have children, and they're always looking for ways to get the kids involved. Or after school events, things to do with the kids. Especially on snowy days here in New England, we get a lot of them, in case you haven't seen the picture of the recent snowstorm we have. But the bottom line is, get them involved in cooking. You know, I'm an avid believer that you really need to get the kids around the table. Get them in the whole process of helping you to actually make dinner. It's a proven fact. The more they get involved, the more likely they are to eat what they make. In addition to that, I really believe that due to time restraints, a lot of people have lost the art of cooking. You know, that was kind of a thing that was passed down, tradition, from generation to generation. Society kind of has really put a real big glitch in that, because no one has time anymore. We're lucky to get dinner on the table. That's where you know, Pampered Chef products really come in handy. In addition to the fact that getting the kids around the table, getting them around the kitchen counter, wherever it is you prep your food, get them involved. Get them to love cooking. Whether they do it when they get older or not is not the issue, but the bottom line is, at least they'll become self-sufficient. Okay? So what I have here is I have the last of the meatballs. Okay? I'm going to just kind of put this on top of the all-purpose pot, and I'm going to let those meatballs steam. Okay? While that's kind of doing that, I'm just going to kind of clean up a little bit and kind of show you a couple more products that we used in making the soup. Obviously, you need a good cutting board. I love our cutting boards. They have a nice silicone rim on the base, on the outer part, so it doesn't slide. Measurement marks, dishwasher safe. Great. I just kind of, because, I mean, white, yes, they're going to get marked up, but the bottom line is, they're not going to hold bacteria. Okay? What you want to do with these is, I just soft scrub them with bleach, stick them right in the dishwasher, all is good. If you don't wash your dishes by the dishwasher, don't worry about it. Scrub it down with hot water, it'll be fine, okay? I'm an avid believer that we all have our favorite knives. And I don't really care what knives it is that you have. The bottom line is, know how to use the knife, okay? Now, there's basically two types of knife. You have a beveled edge, or a rocking edge as we call it. And then you have a straight edge, okay? Now, the object here is to actually use the knife in the design of the blade, okay? And what I mean by that, I have a couple of green onions that are actually going to go in the recipe so I can kind of show you here, is straight blades are meant to saw, okay? So treat your knife, look at your blade, see that it's straight, and you're basically going to saw, okay? Now, beveled knives, or rocking knives, are just that. They're meant to rock. So unlike the straight that you saw with, these are meant to rock up and down. If you know the type of knife you have, and you use it correctly, and it's a good shop knife, one, you'll never hurt yourself. Two, you'll actually protect the blade, and it will last you longer, okay? So ultimately, you want to kind of do that. I'm going to actually chop up the rest of my green onions here, okay? And these I'm just going to toss right in the soup. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a plate or a bowl together for you real quickly, and then you'll see what the final product looks like. And I'm actually going to post this recipe so that you guys will all have it, okay? So here we go. Alright, the meatballs are still in the steamer. They're not done, so we're going to kind of put those aside. Now don't worry if I grab the ones that really aren't cooked yet. This is going back in the pot. It's just really for show purposes. I'm going to show you what this looks like. Okay? So here we go. We got that. I'm going to toss some green onions on top. And that, my friends, is my version of wonton soup. I don't know if you can see this, but let's see if I can tilt this a little bit. Okay? Enjoy, and tomorrow's soup, I think it's going to be beef stew. Okay? Talk to you guys soon.